Now, recently, the US government has concluded that within the last couple of years, Israel has been behind the placement of several surveillance devices that were found near the White House and other several sensitive locations around the nation's capital. Now, this is according to three former senior U.S. officials with knowledge of the matter. So, Israel had apparently been planting devices to listen to the president. Now, that's kind of a big deal. Why haven't you heard much about this? Again, we have another country, a sovereign country that is spying on us, who is also supposed to be our ally. You would think that the media would be going crazy about this. Well, I think the reason that we haven't heard it is number one, because it is Israel. And number two is because there was absolutely no reaction from the White House or President Trump on this issue whatsoever. He looked at the evidence and he went, who cares? So now let me give you more details. This is from a report in Politico. These devices, known as stingrays, have been found all over Washington and were likely, according to one former official, intended to spy on Donald Trump as well as his top aides and closest associates. Now, a little information on how these work, right? So they basically mimic cell towers, right? So you mimic a cell tower and kind of fool your phone into especially if you're not savvy. You know where this is going, right? If you're not a savvy person or just a regular person who doesn't know about this stuff, uh, your phone connects to these towers and you end up getting location and identity information. They can also capture the contents of calls and data usage. So that is an impressive spy tool. So now, the reason that I point out how if you're not a savvy political person, again, us regular Joes, right? I would have no idea that the cell tower that I would connect to could be capturing my data. And normally we shouldn't have to know about that stuff because we're not people that you should be spying on. Says the guy who's of course talked about the NSA spying on us all the time. Touche. Um, but okay, but if you're the president of the United States, well then you're an obvious target for spying, which means you should probably know about this. We should probably be aware and actually take some active countermeasures. Well, that brings us to Donald Trump, who, of course, took no countermeasures. It's not, Donald Trump's already terrible at observing security protocols. Now, this is worse. Politico reported back in May of 2018 that the president often used an insufficiently secured cell phone to communicate with friends and confidants. The New York Times subsequently reported in October of 2018 that Chinese spies are often listening to Trump's cell phone calls, prompting the president to slam the story as so incorrect, I do not have time here to correct it. Because, that's an adult response to, hey, you're getting spied on. Secure your cell phone. Fake news. Fake news. I'm not getting spied on. Right, Chinese guys? Oh, yeah. Totally not getting spied on. Idiot. Okay. So, look. All right. I mean, I get angry over this because let's go back to 2016. I know. So the last place that we want to go. But, okay, let's go back. Everybody screamed about Hillary Clinton's goddamn server, her private server, and how classified information possibly being compromised. And I talked about it too, by the way. Better damn well be as outraged at Trump for not giving a damn about national security. Again, his cell phone is being listened to, and he doesn't care. And he doesn't take any sort of security measures to prevent other countries from spying on. He is the easiest target in order to get. Look, the White House is so pissed off about leakers, right? And has been from the entire administration. Donald Trump is probably the biggest leaker there. So where's the leaker? Where's the leaker? Where's the leaker? Look in a goddamn mirror, moron. He's right there. You're the leaker. You're leaking to the Chinese. You're leaking to the Israelis. You're leaking to everybody. He's like a sieve. And again, look, I talked about Hillary's server, right? So I talked about that. I said that she was wrong to have to not follow proper protocol, and that some of her stuff could be classified, and that was one good reason that I did not support her as president, because she was not securing her own stuff. Now we get to Donald Trump, who's a complete wreck. He's a complete and utter national security disaster. Congratulations. That's what we have going on. Again, Trump doesn't care about security. And in fact, when they told him, hey, man, the Israelis are spying on you, he just went, well, whatever. Now, let me give you more information here. Around 2018, officials at the Department of Homeland Security had discovered evidence of the secure surveillance devices around the nation's capital, but at that time, they were not able to attribute the devices to specific entities. So they found these devices and they're like, that's weird. Who are they? Who do they belong to? Who's trying to spy on the president of the United States? Now, officials shared their findings with relevant federal agencies, according to a letter to a top DHS official. Christopher Krebs wrote in May of 2018 to Senator Ron Wyden. Now, he's a Democrat from Oregon. So now, obviously, he was concerned. So they're looking into this, and they're trying to figure out who the hell is spying on the president, or is trying to. Based on detailed forensic analysis, the FBI and other agencies working on the case ended up finding out, and they felt pretty confident about this after their analysis, that it was Israeli agents that had placed the devices. This is according to former officials, several of whom served in top intelligence and national security posts. That analysis, one of the former officials says, is typically led by the FBI's counterintelligence division and involves examining the devices. The former senior intelligence official told Politico, quote, it was pretty clear that the Israelis were responsible. And there it is, right? But, of course, this is the FBI telling Donald Trump. And so immediately, everything the FBI tells him is, FBI, I don't trust the FBI. I'm not going to listen to them. Well, there you have it. You have a baby who will not listen to our intelligence agencies. Now, I'm not saying the intelligence agencies are perfect. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a level of skepticism to the FBI. At least that's when it comes to progressives, right? It's natural for progressives to, question the FBI. It's natural for us to question intelligence agencies because they have traditionally been used against progressives. The thing is, Donald Trump is not a progressive. Donald Trump and the FBI are both massively right-wing. But the problem is that these FBI agents, they have to look into this and they have to figure out, okay, look, we have to figure out how to secure the country and to make sure that people don't spy on our innermost secrets. Okay, that makes sense. That's their job, right? Okay, so the whole thing of, Trump shouldn't trust the FBI, it's ridiculous, right? The FBI is normally on his side. But no, because of the Mueller report, because they actually did have to look into it, which, by the way, they let him go. That the Mueller report did not have the scope to look into business dealings. All they were looking at is Russian interference, etc. And so, of course, they didn't find anything. Because that's not the most important thing. Okay? And not the thing that was going to take down Donald Trump. And that sucks. But anyway, so he doesn't trust the FBI. He doesn't trust his intelligence agencies when they tell him that these are facts. We don't want you to get spied on by the Israelis. Now, the Israelis themselves, and this is to show how he trusts other countries and not his own. Because the Israelis said, how dare you? How dare you? Ridiculous. Of course we wouldn't spy on our good buddy Donald Trump, I mean, him and Bibi, they're like this, man. We would never do such things, but there's more. Now, before I get to that though, before I get to some very strange coincidences following the devices right being placed, let's go to the White House reaction. One senior intelligence official noted that after the FBI and other agencies concluded that the Israelis were most likely responsible for the devices, the Trump administration took no action to punish or even privately scold the Israeli government. One person said, quote, "The reaction was very different than it would have been in the last administration, the Obama administration. With the current administration, there are a different set of calculations in regard to addressing this." That very interesting. You know what that means? Okay, different set of calculations, political calculations. Look, the Trump administration, Donald Trump himself says, "Well, I like the right-wing government of Israel. Me and Bibi are great. He'd never spy on me." And not only that, but he wants the support of American right-wing Jews and evangelical Christians. So now evangelicals, of course, only like Israel because Israel is instrumental in bringing back the end times, which ironically kills all the Jews and pretty much everyone else except for a set amount of Christians. So great. Those are the people that Donald Trump has in mind when we're being spied on by another country. Great. Wonderful. Now, the administration officials also said that the previous administration would have at least done some sort of kind reprimand. Like, hey, man, we know you were spying on us. That's kind of uncool. Maybe you should not do that. I denounce you for doing that. And then they'll say, sorry. Oh, oops. We dropped off our spy equipment in the wrong place. Sorry. We meant to put those in Russia or Iran. We missed. Sorry. And that's how it would go. Okay. But one former official said, quote, "I'm not aware of any accountability at all." Because, of course, there's no accountability. So now some of you might think, oh, look, the Israeli government, they're right. We don't believe our own intelligence agencies. We don't believe the FBI. They never spy on us. It's ridiculous. They're our ally. You guys just hate Israel. Wrong. But there is a little bit of evidence here. And it's based on the fact that Israelis seem to know a lot about our private deliberations on policy, which is kind of hard to find out if you're not spying on us. Quote, according to a former official, there were suspicions that they were listening in. And this is based on his Israeli counterparts flaunting a level of detailed knowledge that was, quote, hard to explain otherwise. Sometimes it was sort of a knowledge of our thinking. Occasionally, there were some turns of phrase, like language, that as far as we knew, had only appeared in drafts of speeches and never been actually used publicly. And then some Israeli official would repeat it back to us and say, quote, "This would be really problematic if you were to say X," said the former official. They're totally doing it. They're spying on us. They spied on us, of course. All right. Now, the turns of phrase, very interesting, right? So that's what they kind of key into. For example, back when the Obama administration was trying to jumpstart negotiations with the Palestinians, the Israelis were eager to get an advanced knowledge of the language being debated that would describe the terms of reference in these talks. They would have had an interest in what language Obama or Kerry or someone else was going to use, and might indeed try to find a way to lobby for language they liked against language that they didn't like, and so having knowledge of that could be advantageous for them. So, okay, that's a pretty good example. So now that they've been caught spying, what happens? Nothing, apparently. Look, let's be honest. I'm not naive to the fact that countries spy on each other all the time. It's true. It's true. Should we do that? No. Should they do that? Of course not. And look, let's be fair. We probably spy on Israel. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. The big issue here is, now that we know the Trump administration, like we have 100% proof of it, and we know these specific devices were put there by Israeli intelligence in order to try and increase their leverage or whatever, and basically allow them to get the upper hand when it comes to dealing with Donald Trump. Now that we know that, what are we going to do about it? Nothing. Because Trump doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't care about this. He doesn't care about national security. What he cares about is politics. What he cares about is, well, I got to be nice to the Israelis so that Israeli, right-wing Jews and evangelicals will continue to vote for me in large numbers. That's what it comes down to. If he denounced Israel for doing something wrong, they would explode. How dare you? How dare you speak against them, the wonderful kingdom of Israel? Which, by the way, Donald Trump himself has said, I'm the king of Israel. I mean, come on. There are people out there that believe that Israel can do no wrong. I don't agree with that. I think they can do plenty of things wrong. Let's talk about the Palestinian occupation. That's kind of wrong. Building settlements that are illegal and continuing to inflame the tensions of conflict in that area. Wrong. But there are people out there that say, no, you can do no wrong. And of course, there's that other faction that thinks, I don't care what they do, as long as all the Jews go back to Israel and we get Jesus that comes back and kills everyone. Those are the people, and I don't know whether Trump believes either of those things, but he sure does count on them for his allies. You can't very well go and denounce the Israeli government if you carry the mantle of King of Israel. And that's the problem. He's putting himself above the national security of this country for political gain and allowing another country to spy in on us, allowing it. That's our president, man. Disaster. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.